I could not have greater joy to be back here on the channel, Sylvia TV. And today I finally can record in English, not because my English is good, but because I have a British person here with me, and she's not just a person, she is indeed a friend, a darling friend in my heart. I will tell you a little bit more later about how we met and how this connection came through. But before I say much about her, I would like just to invite Liz Wellington to come and greet us and tell a little bit about her life. And then I can come along and say how I met her too. Hi Liz, welcome.
Hello. Nice
welcome to Brazil.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to be here all the way from London and from Worcestershire in England.
Wow, all the British knows what she's talking about, the countryside, which is really
Very
nice and pretty.
countryside with lots of sheep outside the door and sort of thing. Very good.
Wonderful. And it's your second time in Brazil?
It is. We came 5 years ago to visit you.
Oh, it's not wonderful. I really feel so honored and blessed because I know Brazil is a far country from Europe, from any other place in the world. And it's not that easy sometimes to find all the right flights that, you know, and we are in the middle of Brazil. It's not that we are that easier way to come. So you really need to love us to come to see us. So
And we really do. So we're really pleased to come.
Thank you, and it's a great joy. Well, Liz, I will tell what I remember how, you know, I first met you guys. I remember arriving in England in 1997. We don't need to do all the maths here, but it's nearly 26 years ago, which is a long time. It's a half, you know, half lifetime. But I remember arriving to study at the language school at first because I did not have any English at that time. And while I was doing the language school, I get in touch with the Bible College, which is called IBIOL, which was the Bible Institute of London, with Kensington Temple. And your precious husband, Dave Wellington, was the music director, for the Bible College. They led us every morning into worship. I remember I was still not part of the Bible College, but my heart was very attracted to the worship. While as an English student, we kind of get into the corner just to receive those messages, those lovely messages. But eventually, you know, he became like, even though he's much younger than a father, but he became like a father figure because eventually he kind of finds me my passion for music, for instruments, for worship, and he takes me into the boat, and then I feel I travel this wonderful journey of music, and eventually I come to visit you in your house. And it's when the first time you were so kind to welcome me in your house. And
well, we'd moved to London in 1997 as well from Plymouth, where we'd been for 14 years working as pastors down there in the church in Plymouth. And we came up to London to work at Kensington Temple with our 3 little children, who were, I think, 8, 7 and 4 at the time.
Wow.
Yes. And I got a job as a maths teacher, which I was for over 30 years, a maths teacher.
Wow, congratulations. I need a little bit of that anointing. My brain doesn't work with maths, but that's fine.
Which I really enjoyed. And we lived on the outskirts of London, and I taught in that area. And Dave used to travel in to Kensington Temple and to work at IBIOL and to do the worship course on the School of Creative Ministries.
Yes. I know that when I record with Dave, I will tell more of our kind of part of the music side of life. But I have a memory of you and with you that I will treasure for life, which is when after being 3 years in England, I am now speaking a little bit of English and part of the church, and feel like a family, because church is supposed to be a family, and it is a family of God. Then I meet my husband, which is Giles Stevens, and we decide to get married. And you kindly were able to talk with the girls to be my flower girls.
Yes. We went around lots of shops in London on Oxford Street looking for your bridesmaid dresses, and we found some really beautiful ones. They were sort of maroon, and they had chiffon lace, and they were long.
It was beautiful. And them with those long blonde hairs, and
definitely.
very British with blue eyes. Oh my goodness, well, I was very blessed.
And then you had made them little Brazilian flower girl baskets with ribbons and with Brazilian colours.
That's right. We tried to bring the Brazilian with, and they've been playing as well in the wedding. We will talk. I mean, this is a talk, and I really love the fact that when we bring memories that are not only memories because, oh, that happened to me. Some memories, they are real God season in your life where it touches your life for a lifetime, I would say that. And that I think our connection was not just a coincidence, because you do meet many people and it's nice for a while, and then you lose contact and you never see them again. And that was the season. It's not wrong with that, because sometimes people move on, but some friendships, they last for a lifetime and for eternity, which I believe that's our case.
Yes.
But would you be able to tell us a little bit about your personal story as well, until your childhood, and then how then you come and meet Dave, and how things happen?
Yes, well, I was born in Kent, which is on the east side of England, and my family didn't really go to church very often, but we had friends who went, and particularly school friends, and I became a Christian when I was about 17 years old. So I was nearly at the end of my schooling. I had 1 year when I was still at school, and I used to go to church and learnt all about Jesus there, and learnt about reading the Bible and prayer life and things like that. And then I went to university in Southampton, where I studied physics.
Whoa! Wow, well done.
But there in Southampton, there was a very good Christian union, which was based in the schools in England. It's called UCCF. And they were really, really good. It was a huge Christian union. There must have been 400 people, I think, at that time.
Wow.
So very big.
Amazing.
And every hall of residence had Bible study groups. And we used to have a main meeting, I think it was each Friday evening, where hundreds of people used to get together and learn.
Real revival, huh?
Yes, we used to have visiting speakers come, and they were very good at teaching us how to share our faith and just how we should live our Christian lives, which was very good, because obviously I was a very new Christian at that time. Yes. Then, I think it was in the third year at university, I met Dave. And
so at uni.
Yes, so we did, and then a year later we got engaged and were married the summer after. So
wow, so you were as fast as us. No, we were. Nobody was as fast as me and Giles, but that's a different story.
No, so I suppose we'd known each other a couple of years.
That's good.
So that was good. And we got married in Southampton, where we'd gone to university, and then we really didn't know where we should go. But the church in Plymouth, where Dave came from, was undergoing quite a revival really at that time, and so we decided that we would go and we would live in Plymouth. We had no jobs, we had nowhere to live, but we got married and we went and lived there.
Starting the season. Plymouth is near the sea, that's right. It's a beautiful area.
It's got a lot of dockyards, a lot of the Navy are based there. So it was all Dave's family had come from there. So we were there in this really good church that had moved to a brand new building, and it expanded. And after a while, Dave and I were asked to be the youth pastors in that church.
Wow, what a blessing.
So for 2 years we did that, and we had a very big youth group, probably sort of 50 or 60 people, and we had a huge young marrieds group as well. And many of them went off to Bible college themselves and became ministers for our church, so that was really good.
Wonderful.
And then after we'd been doing that for 2 years, we felt that we ought to go to Bible college, and we prayed about it and said if we could just go for the 1 year.
You were no children yet?
No, though Peter was born in the June before we went in the summer.
Wow,
so I was on maternity leave effectively when we went. So we went for the 1 year and learnt. Dave studied. I actually just looked after our little boy called Peter.
Yes, I love Peter. Hi, Peter. He has come to Brazil and visit us here, so it's time to come again, okay?
And then then shortly afterwards, I had my daughter Bethany, and we decided that it was most appropriate with 2 tiny children to go back to Plymouth again, where the church was really good, and we stayed there for another 14 years. We had 3 children in the end.
Oh, okay. So that's when then you go to England, to London, I mean.
To London, yes. So that's when we went up to London when we met you.
Wow, that's amazing. While you were speaking, when you say about like what the Lord was doing at that time, I have this thing that when you feel the presence of the Lord and because sometimes I love hearing the word revival. I love anything related to revival, but sometimes we have like an understanding of revival of something that, and we just like think that's the only way that revival happens. But I believe that revival is a season where that moment the Lord is reviving something in that place, even if it's with 60 people, if it's 15 people, but because it made a difference in your life. Like when you say that you were just being saved and suddenly all this movement in the universities, this is revival. That time was, and our time in Kensington Temple as well, when I remember those days, it was revival. Maybe we didn't call it revival, but it is this presence that comes and makes our lives change forever.
So, I mean, in Plymouth, I think there was a lot of really good people there who had a real love for the people who, perhaps the down and outs, the people who perhaps couldn't look after themselves, and they had a real heart for those. And many, many people became Christian from those sort of backgrounds. Wow. So that was good. Amazing. And then the worship atmosphere in the church was really good as well. Yeah. So.
That's powerful. Liz, but I remember yesterday we were chatting and talking, and I thought that David was studying music, because I only know him with music in his head, his mind, his soul, But you said that was not music at first.
No, he studied chemistry. He's a scientist like I am.
Amazing.
But he was a musical scientist.
All right, yes. But then how did you, then he eventually, he kind of, because of your involvement with the church, he goes to the music side. But how did you combine because it's a very different life, music with teaching and being at school, because it's a full-time mission, I think, being a teacher. I mean,
to start with, I tried to do everything, like I think a lot of us ladies do, and we were doing very well, but actually it was too much, because I would come home from work and I'd have piles of books to mark and lessons to prepare, and then I'd do all that for 2 or 3 hours, and then I would dash off for the next 3 or 4 hours to church, and get back and then go to bed and then teach again. So we did have to come to a moment in our times when we decided that I couldn't do absolutely everything that I wanted to do, and had to choose wisely, because otherwise I wouldn't have been able to do it all. Yeah. But,
it takes a while sometimes, don't you, as women? We think we are strong, obviously. God has given us a strength that is an extra, that makes us extraordinary. I like the extra. From ordinary, you put an extra, it becomes extraordinary. And I think I admire a lot. But education itself, like you said, at least here in Brazil, it took so long for the government, for people to value a teacher's life and a teacher's place in a school's life, in a child's life. I think after pandemic, the parents kind of had this awakening to really value teacher, because they could feel it in their skin, having their children full-time at home and needing to do the studying with them, and they realize, wait a minute, my goodness, we need to follow. Is it in England as well sometimes, the public schools, or this?
Some parents now value teachers an awful lot more than they did, and they realise that we've done quite a good job in the past looking after their children, but it can still be very challenging, I think, even after the pandemic, though I haven't taught since then. I taught in some very difficult schools in Plymouth where education wasn't valued by the children or their parents, and so that was quite tough. They didn't really want to be there, and so they tried to make life very difficult for the teachers. But I have worked in some nice schools as well. So.
Because it is a mission. Because I mean, as a student, I just remember some of my teachers. if not all of them, and how each one played an input in my life that even though they did not know, they were just teaching their subject, but I think every person has something to give and to input.
I never will know how many more maths teachers there are there in the world just because I taught the maths.
It's not relevant. Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, what more could we speak? We were sharing a little bit yesterday about caring and caring for parents. I don't know how much you want to talk about that, because I know it's a subject that many people sometimes struggle in the UK. There is a life, how to say life, people lives longer than life expectancy. And sometimes it's a challenge because I think it's very sad you need to send your parents to a home, but you had like the opportunity to fulfill a mission.
Yes, my mother unfortunately had a stroke 3.5 years ago, and she was very poorly by it, really. She still had her mind, and she had a great sense of humour, and she was very appreciative of all the care that my brother and I were able to give her over the 3.5 years. She spent some time in hospitals. She used to get infections, but when she wasn't in hospital, my brother and I took on her full-time care.
Wow.
So it was
yeah, that's an inspiration, and I know when they go, we still miss them, but at the same time you can feel that you fulfill your mission, but at the same time inspire others to see it, as an opportunity to.
It is. I mean, it was very hard. It was very constraining. I wasn't able to do what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. But I am pleased that we had the opportunity to do it, and I wouldn't really have changed that. It was good to get to know my mother a little better in the last few years.
Wonderful. Wow, I'm really touched by that. Well, would you like to say anything about your girls now? They know you are already a grandmother, is that right?
Yes, my youngest daughter, Chloe, with the long blonde hair, she now has three little children, 2 boys and a girl.
Congratulations, Chloe. I can't believe that little girl in my wedding, just throwing some flowers. Now is a mama. Well done. Congratulations.
So her little ones are 4, 3 and nearly 2. So they're very close together in age. And she's just taken to sewing and making handmade clothing for her children. So that's really good, making dungarees and dresses.
What an inspiration she is.
Yeah. And then the middle daughter, Bethany, again with long blonde hair, she's a pharmacist in London, in one of the big London hospitals. And she has a really good time there she works in what's called technical services, where she ends up making up drugs and checking them and that sort of thing. So
wow, that's
quite a high-powered job.
That's the kind of the
scientist
side.
She likes the science. And then Peter, he also works in Kensington Temple, which you know.
I know, it's a special place.
And he is an audiovisual sound technician, and
a musician. He plays the piano beautifully.
So we've left him behind in London, and he's doing very well there.
Praise God. Well, is there anything else you would like to say to any audience there, like a message of encouragement or a Bible verse, whatever?
Well, we're really pleased that we've been able to come to Brazil to see what God is doing in this nation, because it is a little different to what's going on in England, and we just want to be inspired and to catch a little bit of your vision. And looking forward to the next 2 weeks.
I know the Lord is doing. Right now we are recording here, but Giles is already gone ahead. How many hours? I think it was 12 hours driving. So he is still on the road as we talk here, but we will fly. So we will catch up with them with wings. But that's so wonderful. And I really believe this reconnection that the Lord is doing right now, it's to just prepare us for these end times. We cannot just use that word end time as a kind of key word because it's part of the Christianity terminologies we use. We are indeed living moments that we know it's coming to that time where the church is going to be taken and the great move of God is going to happen. So it's exciting to live right now. It's challenging, like you said. Everything we do in life is challenging, but there is a purpose, and also there is a reward as well. So be blessed And I hope, when you next come to Brazil, maybe we can do another talk and
really good.
see what the Lord has done.
Definitely.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
Thank you.